Alright, word. You know what it is. High Stakes Takes Podcast. Back for week 10. Got the weekend recap, going over bets, going over some injuries that happened in the NFL. We got drop targets, and that's based off players returning from injury. We got at least 5 big names returning from injury this week, if they do end up returning. So we'll get to that. Yo, and the ads of the week. It's Waiver Day. You know what to get from it. Fuck. We're recording? Alright, let's get it. Week 10, High Stakes Takes Podcast, back again. We got the weekend recap, going over soccer bets we hit. NFL did not look too good. It was not too good on us this weekend, and especially Monday night. But we got waiver ads. It's waiver day. We got players returning week 10. At least 5 big names. And we got drop targets that are gonna supersede that. So make sure you tune in and stay tuned every week, because we got content dropping. There's gonna be more shit dropping like every week. So I was almost like, damn, do I swear on this? Do I not? But YouTube might flag my ass. But we out here trying to get to it. Get to that bag. So and just box something, get to it. When I'm saying like I'm not just dropping like gems on you. I'm not just here just talking on my ass. Like, never won nothing. I won both my leagues last year. Not to come off like that, but this is good shit. I put in the work. I put in the work for y'all, and cause I love it. And whoever watches, make sure you pick up at least one. If I get out at least one, that shit make my day. I just dropped a pod first time last week. Barely promoting it. Kind of close to 1 o'clock. But I had one person DM me, say, "Oh, how you doing on this bet? What you think on this?" Guess what I told him? I hit. And I told him my input on the other one. So it's cool to see people reach out, do all that. And you can follow me, Robin2__ on Twitter. You can ask me anything with soccer bets, any insight on any teams, soccer, NFL. We're going to have NBA starting again, so that's good news. You know we're in on that too. Give me the over. Slam the over. So, let's get to it. Let's turn this joint off. That joint's just so smooth though. Ooh, right before it was about to go to the other one. That's alright. You know what it is. You know what it is. Time's ticking. And that's just what it is. NFL season, how we already in week 10? I feel like these 9 weeks just flew by. So many injuries, so much shit that happened. Like, how are we still maintaining this deep into a season? Shit, I'm 3-6 in one league and still have a chance. That's probably me being optimistic. I'm 2 games out from a playoff spot, but with 4 weeks to go, 10, 11, 12, and 13 before week 14 playoffs, should be making moves, get them dubs in there, and then we might sneak in, get that 6th spot, depending on how y'all leagues is set up. But this is, I love doing this. Won both my leagues last year, fought to the end, bro. You know that feeling? I'm double champ, and I'm back-to-back champ in the other league, and it's like, it's crazy. And in that same league, I won back-to-back. Guess what? This year, that's the league I'm 3-6 in. It's crazy how it goes, and all the preparation leading up to the season. It's funny, but you know what's happening. Time's ticking. So you better strap in and get ready, because we got 4 weeks to go. So getting to it, a little weekend recap. We got Benfica versus Braga. So I was thinking in that game, I seen the past 5 games. 4 of them hit at least 4 goals. So looking at that, it's like Braga just let up 3 to Leicester the previous during the week. I think it was either Wednesday or Thursday. Let up 3. Leicester won 3-0. And then you look at Benfica, they went back and forth with Rangers. Granted, there was a red card in that game, but they let up a lot of goals and ended up tying. So you look at the over 4.5, it's like these guys are going to be going back and forth. And in games like that, I always look at the added market bets. Look at the added market bets. Don't just go in there like simple-minded, like I first did also. Like when I would go in there and I'm just figuring out betting, and I'm like, all right, word. I'll look at it and see like over 2.5 and just see the regular screen and not really want to dabble per se in the added markets. But the added markets, that's where the money is at. If you know which games to hit and you hit, just hitting one of those will just clear a whole year of deposits. Hitting one of those. Like I'm talking, I've hit 3 first goal scorers this year. That's at least plus 550. 1 plus 1200 Nabikita. And you can check this out at the end of every video. I'll keep adding on, and I'll keep every bet we hit like throughout the year. And I think at the end of the year, I'll add on the new ones and just create a new one every year. So it'll be cool to see that and see how we track that. But I do take my L's with pride. I do write them down. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just gonna, I'm winning everything. Nope, because I'm not. But what I am winning is complete underdog bets. I do have prop bets, and those are always, for the most part, the favorite. Like minus 120, minus 110, like even on both sides. I love gambling on anything plus. Like Mahomes hit, he was, I think over 2.5 was plus 130. Mahomes versus Carolina, come on. And then Russ Wilson, he was over 2.5. And for him not to throw 3 touchdowns in a game that hit like close to over 60 points, that's ridiculous. So both those should have hit. And those are the little things you got to look at. Don't just go in and look at the games and the over-unders and the spread and the money line. Look into that added market bet. Look how that player has been doing. Like, let's get to some of the losses quick. Like, Cam Newton last night, his over-under on rushing was 48.5. How isn't he going to reach that number? Just give me 49 yards. What does he do all game? That's the complete opposite of their game plan from last week. Like, they just stopped passing, low dink and dunks, but they did throw it deep. Threw it outside the numbers. So, he did look solid passing, but didn't hit the over on the rushing, so I'm like, fuck it. And then you had Jamison Crowder, over 54.5, first game back. I'm thinking it's going to be a decent scoring game. Probably drive down the field, a lot of field goals. But for Crowder, I got to look at his snaps again because it didn't seem like he was on the field all that much. Had that one crazy catch in the corner. That was big for me in fantasy this week. But besides that, I think he ended with like 20 and some change. Like, you can't have that. I looked at that, I was like, come on, man. And it's funny with betting, I'll win and I'll keep like hit a good amount of underdog bets, like say in a weekend, and then I'll do dumb shit like like Rafael Nadal. I just randomly seen him because I was on the app and I was in the live bets because I was looking at soccer, and all of a sudden Nadal was there. Minus 160. What do I think? I'm like, oh shit, I know Nadal, that boy nice. Minus 160, that's easy. Throw bucks on it, what happens? He loses. I'm looking at it 5 minutes later, the odds completely changed and he's plus 150. Come on. So I lost that one. That's just like losing money for no reason, but getting in the fun of it. I didn't even follow it. I think I checked the result like a little later, but it's those dumb things. But other losses, Man City versus Liverpool, that didn't hit the over 3.5. It was a tight game. Probably could have had more. Kevin De Bruyne, he missed the penalty. That would have hit 3, and there was plenty more opportunities. So for that not to hit, all right. That was also a plus 120 going into that game. So it's the give and take. It's the give and take, and the ones you aren't completely sure about, those are the ones you can't add them to the parlay. It's gonna look good. It's gonna increase that parlay. It might double the odds on that parlay, right? It looks so good. Like, oh shit, this parlay turned from me getting 300. Oh shit, now I could get $1,000 out of it. Are you kidding me? And then if I just randomly add Thiago Santos in the under, you go from $1,000. Oh, I could come up $3,000 just off this. And then what happens? Thiago Santos. That's another one I lost. That's the next one. Had him in the under 1.5. That's money. That's money, right? John Jones. Looked so good against him. Was close. Had some power. But John Jones is just a GOAT. So he's not going to beat him. But he looked hella good. And then all of a sudden you come out against Glover Teixeira and you look like that. He came out, that feeling when you're about to hit a parlay, he blew a parlay for me. That feeling when you're about to hit a parlay and he comes out and they're swinging and then he rocks Glover, right? And I'm like, oh shit, like it's about to hit. Like there's no way. And y'all know that feeling. And then all of a sudden he hits him, kind of drops him. He's on his, I think, hands and knees, and then he grabs the leg, kind of like crawls, rides him to the fence, stands up. Then that's it. It's downhill from there. I thought he was about to just knock him out and finish him. But how the tables turn. And then Bears Broncos. Said it last week. Don't add it to the parlay. It's just not smart. And then if the Broncos, oh my God, Drew Lock, like how do you not beat Atlanta? He looked like shit for 3 quarters. What, do you have a touchdown through 3? Like, looked like shit. And then comes out in that 4th quarter, just like last week, and balls out. I thought they were gonna win at the end. Of course, that's not how it goes. But and then for them not to cover the +4 spread, like ridiculous. And then the Bears. That's all I have to say. The Bears. They didn't cover 6.5. Moving on. So on to the wins. Those are all like Bears not covering, Broncos not covering. I think Bears were +340, Broncos were +160. And then you moneyline bet them, you have the chance of winning. But them not covering the spread at a -110 kills you. But moving on to the wins. I parlayed that Benfica versus Braga game. That was over 3.5 at +120. I parlayed that with the Arsenal versus Aston Villa game, which I thought Arsenal was going to win blew a parlay for me. A different parlay. But this 2-team parlay, Villa ended up putting up 3 goals. That's ridiculous. You never know what's gonna happen. But as long as it hits, that's what it is. So that was, you parlay them both plus 258 odds. Cash out. Cash out. West Brom versus Tottenham. Looked at that. Watching that whole game. Had them in a different parlay. They lost it from me. So what do? Right? We're looking at it, live bet. That plus 200 looks so good. 80th minute, they got, 10 minutes plus some stoppage time. But you got Harry Kane, Son. You got ballers out there. And then what happens? Harry Kane ends up getting a ball deep, heads it in, cash out, plus 200. That's so fire. When that shit happens, it just completely offsets all those losses. Like, dead ass. And then moving on to this 14 parlay I hit. On Saturday, it was filthy. And I'll be adding these all to the end, so make sure you go check out at the end. Make sure there's no cap in the rap. Make sure you go check it out, because boys been hitting. So this 4-teamer plus 636, we got Chelsea versus Sheffield United. I took Chelsea plus the over 2.5. Parlayed that with Bayern versus Dortmund. Bayern versus Dortmund was almost like, come on, if they don't score 17 goals, then it's rigged. So over 3.5, added that in, so that's that 3 teams. And then PSG versus Rennes. That was over 2.5. It was going to be tough. You had Kylian Mbappe and Neymar. They're both out. But it's PSG. Their whole bench is another starting team in their own league. So that's almost guaranteed to hit, especially when you got Rennes. They got some dogs on their team. And in the French leagues, it's usually high scoring, especially when you get PSG thrown in the mix. So it was a little risky, but if you don't risk it, you don't get the biscuit. Plus 636. And then the next one, the over 2.5 on the Palace versus Leeds game. That's a game where you look at it, you see Palace, they can put up some goals. You see Leeds, they just got blown out last time. Over 2.5. When I got it on Friday night, it was plus 100. When I woke up Saturday morning, that was at minus 120. That's how quick that stuff can change. And you could go from 100 to make 100 to minus 120 at, it's probably 80 something. But it's a difference. It's a fractional difference. And if you're betting with more than that, if you got more money to just blow, 1,000 to win 1,000 or 1,000 to win 800. You know what I mean? Or if you got stupid money to blow, 10,000 win 10. You know what I mean? The fractional difference. It's all in the opportune times when you go and place that bet also. So it's like, in some games, it's vice versa. Some games you don't want to bet on until late. Maybe you know, like Tottenham was away. Yeah, they're playing West Brom, but coming off having to play in the Europa League during the week, it's tough, and you got to take that into account. It's like they're playing away. You don't know who may start. Say you wanna get it on a Friday, and those lineups don't drop till an hour before the game. So it's those little things you gotta look at just to make sure. I also hit a live bet, Man United versus Everton. I hit the over on that game also in a different parlay, but ended up getting fucked over by either Tottenham or one of the other ones I added in. But live bet, Man United went down 1-0 early. They were plus 123. That's almost like a gimme. Everton was playing like shit. Man United just got playmakers everywhere. Speed up front. You got playmakers on the bench. You got Van de Beek. You don't even play. You got Pogba coming off the bench. Cavani coming off the bench. just to hit the over for the kid. Thank you. Thank you. It probably, I guarantee you, it didn't even cross his mind that he just hit the over from somebody. But your boy back in Rhode Island is just sitting back like, thank you. So, and it's crazy when them games, it's like the 90th minute and you're like 3 minutes into extra time. It's like, you don't know what's going to happen. And all of a sudden goal, and it's like, cash it out. So on to the last one we hit. Plus 155 odds. The Miami Hurricanes versus NC State Friday night. That was a live bet. I think I fell asleep and then woke up and they were down a touchdown. They were down a touchdown, but they had just stopped them and they were getting the ball back. And there was a good amount of time. And in college football, I hadn't really followed college football that closely, but I realize now why games are so long. After a first down, the fucking time just stops. Like, there was a little bit where I stopped following college football like that and just focus on NFL and like other sports. But that's like obvious. Like, once I realized that, I was like, obviously, that's why those overs hit all the time. But again, you gotta know what games to pick, who got people out. Like, you gotta look at the injury report. You gotta look at like weather. You gotta look at whether people are playing in a dome game. Like, it gets deep. It gets deep. So, live bet Miami Hurricanes. They were down a touchdown. I looked at it, plus 155. You gamble on it, right? You just gamble. It's gambling. So, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. That's 7 in 3 days. And we had a lot more picks, but just lost in parlays. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous the type of numbers we put up this year. High stakes takes. We're coming. We're coming for the top spot, and we're just gonna keep grinding. It's gonna be respect all over. And I love Barstool. That it's so fire what Portnoy created. And then he's just kind of like doing his shit, like just all with the top dogs now. And then the people he got under him, just like the commentators at the Rough and Rowdies, just funny as hell. It's just like a big comedy, but they keep it real and they want to keep it fucking honest. You know what I mean? And I love that about him. So shout out Barstool. Make sure you go download that Barstool. And then they ain't paying me for shit. They don't know me from a hole in the ground. Make sure you go download that Barstool Sportsbook app. That shit is fire. So, moving on, we got ads of the week. It is waiver day. You know what we're doing. We're just adding gems. Dropping gems. So, first one is obvious. Obvious gem. He's probably out there, 14% owned in Yahoo leagues. Jacoby Myers. That boy turned up yesterday. On Monday. He turned up. 6 most targets over the past 3 weeks. Come on. If you don't at least like put a waiver claim in for him, you're doing yourself no good. So he got Baltimore this week, but being the top dog in New England, getting at least, he's got like, 12 targets and 10 targets, or 14 and 10. So that over 2 weeks, that's not going to be sustainable. But if you look at being the top dog in New England, they're going to have to pass the ball. If he's looking this good with Cam likes to stick to who his favorite guy is, like he did with Olsen in Carolina. So, even with Baltimore this week, I may not play him, but from here on out, as long as N'Keal Harry doesn't come back and he's just like a star, then Jacoby Myers definitely serviceable the rest of the year. Next one, and this is due to injury. David Johnson suffered a concussion on Sunday. It sucks for my fantasy team. Good thing I won. My other dogs turned up, but David Johnson, wish him all the well for real. Because concussion ain't no joke. I did my fucking senior project on CTE and all that concussion stuff. So it's crazy stuff out there. But Duke Johnson, running back for Houston, 16 rushes for 41 yards, and he had 4 catches on 4 targets coming in after he went out. He had 32 yards off them 4 catches. Only 17% owned. Going to be a starting running back. So make sure you go pick him up. If he's not in your league, you got a bunch of savages in your league, and that's what I love. These people ain't even can't even like trade for him. I got my people in my league thinking people off waiver wires are just like top prospects. Like, it's fuck out of here with that. Sometimes I look at the trades and I'm like, come on. So the next one we got is J.D. McKissick. He's a little bit more owned, running back out of Washington, and they have Antonio Gibson. But McKissick last week, ridiculous. When I tell you the targets, you won't believe me. I guarantee you run to the phone and you'd be like, damn, did he really have that many targets as a running back? This is like some James White stuff. And let me get this out the way right now. James White, you can drop him. Drop him immediately. Like, he has... His floor is 0, basically. And his upside is completely capped, with Rex Burkhead getting a lot of the carries, some catches, and then you got Damian Harris, who looks good on the ground. Gets that, probably averages like 13 carries a game. And if he stays healthy, he's going to get that 17 to 20, because I think that's what Belichick wants to do when you got Cam. It's like, come on. You hardly got any wideouts, so James White's not the in between the tackles. Rex Burkhead, he's gonna take away some catches. So James White, he's droppable. Still at 56% owned. That doesn't make any sense. Rex Burkhead, 19% owned. If you could flip flop them right now, I would, like, for sure. Especially with Damian Harris, he might be out this week. He got a little chest injury. If he does miss, I'm starting Rex. Even if it's against Baltimore, like, if you just lost McCaffrey this week, if you just lost David Johnson, you don't get Duke Johnson, get Rex. He's at 19% owned. And moving back on to J.D. McKissick, that 14 targets, that shit is ridiculous. He has 47 targets on the year. For a running back, you're up there with wideouts that should be doing a hell of a lot better, but are on teams with, like, probably a shitty quarterback or just shitty situation. But just to name some players that he has more targets than this year, he has more targets than Mark Andrews, Justin Jefferson, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If those are players who are like full-blown starters. Justin Jefferson, games where he had like 14 targets, 170 yards. It's crazy to me that McKissick has this many. I picked him up a couple weeks ago, dropped him as soon as Gibson went off that one game, dropped him. But he's still sitting there at 26% owned. He's still available in my leagues because he's been dropped. So I would definitely check your waiver wire, put in that claim for him, and you could start him rest of the year based off those targets. And especially with Alex Smith, because shout out Kyle Allen, did what he could for us. But it's going to be a little dink and dunk game. That's all it's going to be. You see 14 targets from McKissick in what? That's almost like what, 3 quarters and a half? It's wild. If you could start him in a PPR, money bags. So, moving on to some crazy news. Panthers news. McCaffrey. Like, there's some games where it's like, he turns up and you think he's going to get injured and he don't. It's like, sigh of relief. That's all it's been all his career so far. Knock on wood. But at the end of the Chiefs game, he hurt his shoulder. He may miss some time. This sucks for me. I have him in 2 leagues. I thought it was like I thought it was so good getting the first pick, but you know what happens with McCaffrey. You know how this fantasy game go. So Mike Davis, he might have been dropped in your league. People may still have him as a handcuff. If you could go get Mike Davis, he's at 71% owned right now in Yahoo leagues. But if you can go get Mike Davis, he's available in 2 out of my 3 leagues. Put in that waiver claim. Right now, you never know with McCaffrey. Shoulder injuries, those are iffy. Those never go away throughout the season. You gotta let that shit heal throughout the off season. So picking up Mike Davis, that's top priority. If you got fab to spend, pick Mike Davis up and do not drop him, even if McCaffrey plays this week. So a couple other like risky pickups, but could pan out. We got Jordan Reed. I dropped him immediately. I picked him up. I was all over him, talking. All right, he's gonna turn up. Telling my boys like, yo, watch, he's gonna be a top waiver pickup. He was, and guess what? 1 catch on 2 targets. Come on, man. Come on, you hit him with the Keyshawn. What? Come on, man. Shit. Oh, I wasn't even watching that game. I look back. I look at his targets. I was like, shit. But Jordan Reed, because Kittle's out. Kittle's definitely out the rest of the year. There's no chance he's coming back. Especially because San Fran, they're going to lose enough games where they're like, all right, what's the point of playing him? That's what I'm afraid of with Mostert. But Jordan Reed, a for sure pickup. He only played 13 snaps. So that was a big reason why he only got 2 targets. But 2 targets on 13 snaps, if he could jump that number up to maybe like 30, I think he could be serviceable. Maybe 5 catches, 40 yards and a touchdown. I'll take it. Tight end position has been scarce this year. It's been scary. And Jordan Reed, he's at 21% owned, so he's probably available. And people probably dropped him after that. And Trey Burton. That boy's that sneaky little ninja. He'll just, you know what I mean? He's a tight end, but that boy would just run it in. So, Trey Burton, 22% owned. You got Jack Doyle, who got a concussion on Sunday. They played Thursday, so he's probably not going to be back. You got Mo Alley Cox out. He missed practice. They both missed practice today. He has a knee injury. He's in a rush. They got 1 more padded practice, if that. No, they have an off day tomorrow, Wednesday. So, Mo Alley Cox probably out. So, they only got Trey Burton. They are playing Tennessee, so it's like they should put up numbers. And Trey Burton, same thing, 5 catches, 40 yards, touchdown. I'll take it. He could even end up getting 2. You do have T.Y. Hilton returning. You know what T.Y. Hilton returning. So I think it's just gonna open shit up for him. He's gonna be a beast. That's it. Went from it's gonna be kind of scary. Burton is gonna turn up. Start him Thursday at your tight end position. If you lost Kittle, if you lost any other tight end, turn up. Cash it in. And then I'm even gonna drop sprinkle some defenses. It's huge to have a good defense. Make sure your defense doesn't get you negative points. Even if you got a good defense, right? Been good all year. If they're in a scary matchup, like look at the Colts. Colts had a decent game, but they let up 24 points. So it's like I think they only let up 17 actual points because I think they scored on a return or something like that. But you can't give up that and then try to stay in that fantasy game when you got motherfuckers defenses who are getting multiple sacks, a forced fumble, maybe even a kick return. You can't beat that. So making sure you don't just say fuck it, I'm just gonna roll with whatever defense. That might win you a week. These are close battles out here in these last 4 weeks of the fantasy season. It's wild. So, couple defenses. Actually got four. Four. Make sure you go watch the YouTube. I'm going to upload this to Anchor. I'm going to upload this to Spotify. Wherever you get your podcast. Apple Podcasts. Make sure you get on there. Make sure you find High Stakes Takes Podcast. We got Mooney Bags. You got RDG's going to be on the podcast real soon. You got Luke Pay going to be on the podcast real soon. Couple plays in my league. Couple plays in Ballers League. We battle it out. We watch games on Monday. We cook. It's saucy over there at the dojo where we kick it like karate. You know what it is. So, couple defenses. I went out. I did not. I thought for sure, because I'm a Carolina fan, McCaffrey's just going to come back. And on this fantasy shit, he's just going to be like great the rest of the year, not get hurt at all. And what happened? Her first game, I pick up Philly's defense. I pick him up. Who'd I drop? Mike Davis. I knew to pick up Mike Davis. But as soon as McCaffrey was doing as good as he was, I picked up Philly's defense. Because you have to do that also. I'm looking at next week. 1 o'clock games aren't even over yet. I'm looking to next week to make sure my defense, I have Indy. My defense isn't like playing the top team where you're going to get fucked over, get some negative points, and get like 1 point. That will lose you a week. I promise you. So make sure you go look in advance. Make sure make sure you look at whatever team you're picking up. You're checking that next week and you're like, all right, word. This is locked in. Make sure you lock in and pick up and you're like affirmative on it. You can't get, barring like COVID and the COVID season that's going on, make sure you're good, because you don't want to have to go around and you're dropping multiple plays and then you're scrambling and then you get in your head. Just make sure you're good on that. Make sure you're locked in. So Philly's defense versus the Giants. That's all I gotta say. Daniel Jones is awful. And it sucks. Because like sometimes I want him to be solid. But when you have Slayton, Shepard, and you had Tate before he wanted to be a little bitch and run his mouth. And you know Joe Judge ain't having that. So that's where they're at. When you have those targets with Evan Ingram, and you don't produce at the quarterback position. Like imagine Cam Newton had those targets. Come on. It's crazy. So they'll be moving on. But Philly's defense, lock them in. New Orleans defense versus a depleted San Fran, lock them in. They're at 50% owned, so they may not be available. So I'm going to give you a couple more that are under 40% owned. We've got Green Bay. They're looking good this week versus Jacksonville, 38% owned. If Gardner Minshew plays, do not play Green Bay. Lock it in. If Lutton plays. So, next one, 24% owned. We got Minnesota's defense Monday night versus Chicago. Got word that Montgomery is not playing. If Montgomery does not play, then lock in Minnesota's defense. Nick Foles is not good. He kind of just, he has those games where it's like, all right, like, oh, he threw 2 touchdowns, oh shit. It's not going to be this week. Minnesota played really well against Green Bay. So, it's either Minnesota, New Orleans, or Philly. And Green Bay, if Gardner Minshew doesn't play. I'm over here rhyming, I ain't even trying. Stop. Got me geeked up. I said, we're going to end it off with players returning for week 10. And a couple players that you may have to drop to pick up someone with a higher upside rest of the season. And these players are returning, they ain't no bullshit. These guys are stars. These guys are going to win you your league if they stay healthy. So, plays set to return. First one I got, Nick Chubb. I can't wait. He just been on my IR. I've been scrambling all season. Nick Chubb finally set to return. It's going to be huge. And with Kareem Hunt, is definitely going to take away and maybe cut his fantasy upside in half. So I definitely look at that for Kareem Hunt owners. Nick Chubb, though, that's receiving, that's rushing, that's a team that's going to be losing. So high upside. Definitely has a chance to play this week. So Miles Sanders. I can't believe that there's this many players. Like, just looking down, and these are just what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are just 7 players just that I have written down right here. Never mind players that we ain't even talking about because they already been out for the rest of the season. It's wild. So Miles Sanders coming off a bye, had an injury before. He missed 2 weeks, had a bye week. He's likely to play. If you have Boston Scott, you can drop him. That's one you could definitely drop. There's really no upside in keeping him as a handcuff, especially in the Eagles offense. But Miles Sanders has been known to get injured. So if you do need to, and if there's no players out there on your fantasy wire, say you in a 12-man league or maybe even a 14-man league, or maybe even a league where players are just savages, just adding players to the IR. It's skimp out there. All right, hold on to Boston Scott as a handcuff maybe. But besides that, I'm definitely moving on. Carlos Hyde and Chris Carson. Now this is risky because DJ Dallas has been more than serviceable in their absence. But you got Carlos Hyde, who at the end of the game where Carson went out, he's a beast. But then he hamstring injury, misses the next week. Chris Carson, it's up in the air. He's hurt every year. DJ Dallas is definitely one to keep as a handcuff because you never know with Hyde and Carson. They have a chance to play. It's not looking likely. Whenever I see, it's possible, it's probably not going to happen, especially when you're the Seahawks and you're probably going to win. So it's big that they could come back. Carson owners probably going to have to wait another week. Hyde, he'll probably return and split the snaps with Dallas. So it might be risky to play both them. So, but say you have McCaffrey, Mostert, Mixon, who may return. He's coming off a bye also like Miles Sanders, so he's more than likely gonna play. But if you have like a Gio Bernard and you need to pick up a fantasy waiver wire player, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, man. So with DJ Dallas, keep him handcuffed because you got people like that are gonna be dropping Gio Bernard. People are gonna be out there scrambling, not know what to do. So I keep him as a handcuff at least for this next week, if not the week after. Especially with playoffs coming up, you're gonna need the handcuffs. Other players aren't gonna matter. You're gonna need the handcuffs for your players so you're able to start them if your players get injured, right? Don't want to have to deal with the waiver wire or fab. You don't want to have to deal with none of that. So the next set of players, both on the straight injury fund San Fran team, Deebo Samuel and Raheem Mostert. If they return, I have both them. If they return, that's what it is. Money. Give me that. I need that. If Mostert has to sit one more week so he can play the rest of the year, then so be it. But Deebo, he looks good every time he hits the field, and then he's injured by the third quarter, halftime. It sucks this year. Vid-19 season, or Vid-19 in 2020 season, canceled it. it's wild. Especially watching the NBA playoffs, watching how that chip was won with no fans. Really, it's a weird time. Maybe we'll get fans for the Super Bowl. Probably get a decent amount of them by February, but that's all speculation. Speculatory. So that's how we're going to end this saucy podcast. We're going to have these saucy picks coming up on Sunday. Thursday night on the Twitter, we're dropping prop bets. We're dropping over-under. We're dropping maybe to cover the spread. Maybe to hit the money line. Whichever the more likely bet is. We're dropping it, and make sure you tune in because we're dropping another pod for Sunday. Prop bets, locks, DFS plays, all that. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, and we locked in over here at the dojo, kicking it like karate. That's one for every plus bet we hit this weekend. And guess what? Don't forget, time is ticking, motherfuckers. So hit that waiver wire, because it's Tuesday. Send it.
Shall we begin? Let's begin now. Let's begin now. What? Shall we begin?